Okay. Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me and see me, or for now, just hear me all right. I'll just switch to the camera in a second. Okay. And let's switch to the camera. Camera. Okay. Let's see if it's in. Yeah, it's in focus. Okay. Okay. Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me and see the my workspace. Okay. And today I would like to do some sketches, just to get hang of few things. And I'll be using this here, which is the Midori MD paper sketchbook. I don't know if you can see the logo here, that I got for tests. And this is the MD paper sketchbook with the cotton paper, so with the one that's white and nice for sketching. So it's whiter than the usual Midori brand paper that I use for my just rough sketching. It's nice. And I'll be using this, which is the Caran dash, I think you say it, 844 pencil. And maybe I'll switch also to like a Blackwing or whatever. And I want to make some sketches of Japanese shop kanban, so signs. Yesterday Kana asked me about how these signs are actually attached to the buildings, and I didn't know, so I looked for some references in my own photos and on sites like Pinterest and whatever. And also Kana found some references and sent them to me, so I want to do some sketches of these so I can get the hang of how these are actually attached to the buildings. Okay, so you can ask me some questions that I probably will answer while I'm drawing, but I'll probably not be able to answer all of them. But if you have anything that you would like me to speak about, then feel free to ask. Okay, so I'll draw first this one that I showed you, and this is actually in the Ten Yasu shop, which was featured in my Tokyo Storyphones book. And okay, this is nice actually on this paper. Okay, so it has like, okay, I can zoom in a bit more. Something like this. Hi. Okay, so this is like this, and most of these signs are like mounted on small roofs, but they do not sit on those roofs directly, but have this kind of like shoes. So this kind of a stand to attach them to the roof. And more fancy ones have this kind of gargoyles or like Japanese figures that hold the sign up. So I want to sketch few of these to actually see how they are attached to the rest of the building, because the sign is kind of really vertical but also at an angle, so it's easier to see it from the street level. And we began wondering yesterday how actually it is connected to the building in the back, so it does not fall down in the wind or when there's like an earthquake or something. Okay. So there's like a shadow from this fellow here, and I'm not really good at sketching only with pencils, so this is also one of the things I would like to practice here. When I draw people, how do you reference or start when I draw my characters? When I draw my characters, I usually start from scratch. I don't like to use any references if I don't have to. Usually, if I use a reference, it's mostly like few photos of random people that are kind of similar to the thing I would like to do, but nothing more. And mostly I do a lot of sketches just to get a feel of what character I'm actually aiming for. And when I stumble upon something that looks kind of promising, I start to develop this one um, face or character sketch more, so I can get it from different angles and doing different poses and doing different like emotions. So and when I think that this one actually kind of looks similar to the thing that I need, like for a story, for example, then I start to make like more like refined sketches for the story. So I'll draw, for example, this character as it does some action that's needed for some scenes in the story. Okay, so I like this paper because it actually is less smooth than the standard MD paper, and it allows for more blacker, darker pencil lines, and I can do really intensive shadows when I need to. It has a nice texture. The line has a nice texture to it. Okay, so this part here is in shadow, and this is like a metal cap, red. And here too. And there's like an edge here, and this is probably also metal, so it prevents the rain from getting into the wooden sign too much. And from what I can see, there's like a metal bar here and here that connects these two figures to the wall of the building. And there's also one here that connects the sign directly to the wall, and there's also one like here at the top. So probably there's also like one here and one here. So we have a window here, and a really thick bar, like a beam that forms a part of the main part construction of the building, I think. So probably this bar here prevents the whole thing from just falling down, and these bars here prevent this sign from falling down, which is important. Here's like the letters on the sign, and I'll just draw them really roughly. Okay, and so like there's a window here with like bars, so I'll just draw them for my reference. Okay. And to just show how it actually looks on the roof, let's just sketch it really roughly. So we have like the water outlet thing, which ends in this kind of nice shaped part, and it's like this, and it's held up by this part here, and we have a huge one with the roof tiles and smaller ones like here, and in between of course they are like connected like this. So we have like these roof tiles like this here, and there is another row of the big ones that end, and usually they have here like the crest, family crest or something, like a logo, so it's even more impressive. Okay, and this part is kind of in shadow. Some streams are watchable after I finish them, and some streams are not, because it depends on whether I was actually thinking what I was saying or not, mostly. If I was thinking what I was saying and I think, okay, I can publish this one without making a fool of myself, then I'll publish it. But if I was just blabbing around while drawing and concentrating on the drawing actually more than what I was saying, then I would not put it on. Okay, so we have one like this. Let's search for a different one. This is actually the Tenyasu shop, which is based in Tsukishima in Tokyo, so when you are in Tokyo you can actually go there and see it. Okay, and I'm here on Pinterest just looking for interesting like shop signs to paint in my to draw in my sketchbook. Oh, this is a nice one. I don't know where this one is, but it's kind of interesting. Can I make it smaller? Okay. So there's a lantern on this one, so I'll just sketch the lantern. So there's a lantern like this. And it has like a one stage here with 2 windows, and this end goes down and has like small legs even though it doesn't stand on anything. Okay, and it has the inside part which actually has the name of the shop in it. Okay, and the back with the leg here in the back, and it's in shadow from the roof part of the lantern, like here. So let's do a shadow, and it's stuck to the wall using like 2 pegs, I think, and a board like this. Just interesting. And it has like the logo of the shop in the wheel and some kanji letters that I cannot read because the file is too small resolution. Let's fix the perspective a bit here. Okay, so something like this. And this shop also has like a nice sign. I'll show you the photo that I'm looking at. It's from Pinterest. I just found it. So here is the lantern, and here is like the sign that I would like to like put into my sketchbook. So because it looks really nice, I can use it in a different project. So we have the top part, and it has like a logo here again, and here's like this part here. It's a nice shape. I like the curves like this. Okay, and there's the part that's on the other side, and this metal roof is actually a little bit longer than the wooden base, I think. And there's again like a shape here. I think it also has the logo of the shop or something, so I'll just scribble something here and make it thicker. Okay, and there's the sign actually going from here, like really long, and I think it's stuck to the building from like here. So we have one beam here and probably one beam, yeah, at the bottom, which looks like 2 bolts holding this board down, and again a metal protective thing and a beam. And actually I think it has like a bolt here and probably on the other side also. Okay, so let's make a shadow. And it goes like something like this. Okay, so this roof has like stripes like this, so I think it's actually metal, probably how do you call it? Not aluminium, but the one that goes green, copper. Okay. So this is the lantern, and I think this part also is probably metal. Okay, let's look for another one. Okay, put the sketchbook on top, and let's look for another one to draw. Kana also sent me some yesterday. I wanted to look at some stuff on Pinterest if I can find something interesting. Okay, so let's look at some that Kana sent. This is also nice. This is actually one of the shops that I featured in the Tokyo Storefronts book also. But from this angle you can actually see how it's like connected to the building with bars. Okay, so let's sketch this one too. Okay, so this one is more complicated and I don't have everything on this photo, but let's try to think how it's made. So we have a bar here that supports the whole sign, which is longish, maybe longer than that even. And it also has like a metal cap on at the ends. And there are the shoes, as I like to call them, like blocks of wood that keep it from actually touching the roof, and they are made at an angle, so it can be placed, the sign can be placed on roof that's sloping. Okay, and we have like border coming from here, and it's actually not made from straight pieces of wood, so it's kind of wavy, which is interesting. And we have the main part here, which is actually the sign, and I think that this sign was used before on this shop, but it was probably damaged or something, and they had to kind of put a frame around it, so it's not held up directly, but it has like a protective frame, and it has light here and here, which is quite rare actually. Okay. Do I improvise while drawing? Yes, I improvise a lot actually. Not in drawings that have to be accurate, because their purpose is to be accurate. But when I just want to do a building, I can improvise a lot from memory, just because I have been drawing a lot of buildings like this. So I actually have some knowledge about how the parts look like most of the time. So I can imagine how a shop, for example, or just a building would look like. So here I don't have this part on the photo, and I can just kind of imagine how it would look like actually. So we have a bar here that probably goes like here until the end, and we have again a small roof made from copper, and probably one on the other side again also with a bar like this. And these roofs always almost have this ending thing. Like this part here. Okay, and let's fill in a bit more of the details here. Okay, so we have a board here, and this wooden part, actually, let me zoom a bit, is cut in really interesting shapes because it has like this striped cut marks that give it some interesting textures. Okay, and here's the bottom of it, and the leg just has a shadow here. About composition. I don't follow any like clear rules if it comes to composition. I don't follow like, I don't know, like a golden ratio or whatever. I guess it goes again to like watching a lot of good art, so you kind of get to have this knowledge of probably this will work or probably this will won't, and trying a lot of sketching yourself, so doing a lot of like rough sketches before you start on the finished piece. Like for example in the hotel sketch that I did in one of the latest videos, I think it's the latest video, I think like 15 sketches, like rough sketches, before I even started like doing the final sketch for the drawing. So some like buildings and scenes are really easy to approach because you already know like, okay, I can draw it like this and it will look right. But some pictures with their content are really hard to approach and really hard to make so they look like something so they look interesting. So it's just probably looking at stuff, so not maybe going like analyzing, but like thinking, why do you like this painting or this frame or this like page in your favorite manga or whatever, and then trying to do some drawings or sketches that have interesting perspective or interesting composition. But yeah, like even on the photo taking, reference taking process, I already start to think about the composition of the final drawing that I would like to do with this photo, for example. So like on all steps of the process, you think about how to make this look like you would like it to look. So do you want to make it scary, or do you want to make it mysterious, or do you want to make it more realistic or more cartoony, or do you want to show what's in the picture bigger or smaller than it really is, or make it seem really small or make it seem really big? So you have to think about this kind of goal that you have while you actually decide all the compositional stuff. And once you find like the shape that you want, you just stick with it. There are some like basic principles that you can follow from a book, like basic rules how to do perspective that it looks kind of cool and so on, but mostly it's about using the things that you have in your head or in a reference photo or whatever to your advantage. So if I have two cool buildings, I would look for an angle from which they look the most menacing or interesting or cool or whatever I want to achieve with a drawing. Okay, so here we have the main part of the actual sign, and this part around it is just like a frame that supports it, and this part here is also made of copper, so this is like a metal roof that already went green on the original shop. So it looks like this, and there's like a hole here. But also what I'm interested about is like this like metal part here, and there's again one in the place that I did the letters, just here, that actually hold the thing to the wall that's behind the sign. And there's like a window pane here, and a space to hide the storm shutters on the right. So these are like the metal bolt thingies that hold this really heavy, probably, sign to the wall. And the window behind the sign again has this pattern of, let's say, beams. Okay. Like this. Okay. And let's look for another one maybe. Okay, so we have one like this, which is really simple actually. Okay. So this one is interesting because I haven't seen one shaped like this in the wild actually. It has this kind of those kind of steps here that probably have the additional function of making it more water resistant, and it also is quite vertical. Most of these signs are at about, I don't know, 20 degrees from vertical, so it's easy to see them from the street, but this one is like straight up. And it has these legs which have to be kind of like at an angle, but are not actually. They have like something underneath that makes them at the angle. This is more modern style, I guess. A bit longer here. And this has like a border on all sides and a logo here, which is kind of 3D, so let's make it a bit 3D. And it has a round sign which also is a bit three-dimensional with like stuff here. I'm doing this only for my kind of library of signs for shops, so I'm not going to put it actually as it is. I'll use it probably in a different picture altogether, but I want to show that the letters are kind of three-dimensional, so I'm going to put like a shadow from one side so they seem like they have the thickness. Okay, and some like big letters here, and they also are like this. Okay, so we have a sign that's like this. It's kind of interesting actually. I haven't seen anything like this, and it has a ridge here. Okay, so it's more or less like this. Let's draw a shadow underneath it so it's more kind of easy to understand. Okay, let's check if I can find another one. I have seen The Never Ending Man, which was actually really emotional for me, especially the beginning. And I've seen the I think it was called Kingdom Kingdom of Madness and Dreams, I think, where the ending actually was really emotional, and I liked both. Okay, let's do this one. This one is interesting, but I cannot see the top of it, so we will have to kind of make it up a bit. This is actually one thing that I already did in one of my live streams. It's this kind of dango stole, but it has a nice top sign, so let's put it into the sketchbook. The sketchbook, by the way, I think has like 160 pages or something like that, so there's a lot of 200 pages, so there's a lot of space for just doodling. Okay, this one is really interesting because it has this top roof thing, and also I can see the supports a bit, but it's cut in one place. So okay, so we have the top roof, which is probably something like this. I cannot see the top of it, but because I did a lot of them already, I more or less know what should be there. Okay. If you are coming to Japan, you should be able to find my book, no problem. It should be in most bigger bookstores all over in Japan. Of course, I'm talking about the Tokyo Storefronts book because the Tokyo at Night book will be not released yet. But yeah, the Tokyo Storefronts book is, you can buy it in most major bookstores in Japan. Like if you want to get like limited cover edition or whatever, the limited Kinokuniya edition, you can go to Kinokuniya in, for example, Tokyo, but you can get the base book in just probably any bigger bookstore. Okay, and I cannot see the top of this roof, but I can see the top of the roof of the place, so I'll just try to do something similar here. So there's like a and roof ending shaped like this, which is really nice and fancy, and probably it will be like this kind of thing, maybe with the also part here, and this one is complicated. Okay, and it has like these two. Okay, so this line should end about here, and we have the support from the other side, and this has like two supports here, like one here, I'll just make it black, and one here, and there are two beams going down from here and here. Maybe I should make it a little bit longer. And we have the actual sign, which is something like this, but the shape is kind of, let me get this. Shape is a bit unusual because it has these rounded corners. Usually the main sign is just like a board of wood. and of course it has the legs here. I'm just sketching in my sketchbook some shop signs, Japanese shop signs, because yesterday I was asked by Kana about how actually they are attached to the buildings, and I was like, oh, I don't know. They stand on like stands, but I don't know how they are attached to the building in the back. So I wanted to do some sketches of shop signs, so I know more about them and how they look, and have some variation in my drawings of future buildings and shops. So this part is metal, and this is painted white actually. This front part here. And there's some letters here, which I'll just draw like this, because this is not my concern in this sketch. I want to get the shape of the roof and how it's made more than the contents of the sign. Okay. So something like this. Okay, my battery in my camera is going down, so I'll just have to swap it. Okay. Whoa. Let me fix this. Okay, technical break. Okay, we should be good. So I already did like a few sketches here, like this one and these vertical ones, which are really interesting, and I did this one here and more modern one, and now one with an interesting roof. Let's do one more element from this sketch, this photo, because this shop also has this kind of interesting lantern, and let's try to do this from like the side, because it's more from the front on the photo, so I'll just use it for reference. And we have like this kind of roof base, and it has like a a bar here that goes like a little bit out of the roof, and it has, I think, 2 or 3 bars that go here. So you can probably see it like here. Okay, and let me do the shadow here. Okay, like this. So something like this, and okay, let's fix this one. So the whole thing is more or less in perspective, and there's like a bar that starts in the same place as this one, and it's underneath the whole thing, so it's in shadow. And from this there's like a hook, and there's like this kind of brace, and we have a round top of a lantern, and I'm guessing it's not filled, so probably it's something like this, so the air from the hot air from the lantern can escape from like from the top, and it has some golden elements here on the front. Let's mark it gold, and this part is black, and we have the lantern and the bottom part with also like a gold parts here. And this one has like a hook here also with a like a really difficult to draw red kind of string thing on it, and it's also attached to the building with a string, so it does not flutter in the wind too much, and there's like a pole it is attached to like here and here. So it's this kind of sign on a lantern. It has letters. Okay. So there are like standard ones and more like vertical ones also. Let's search for something interesting more. Okay, we already did this one. Ah, this is interesting. It's not exactly a sign, so by the way, I'm just looking at Pinterest and looking for like Japanese shops to draw. Okay, so let's do this one. It has really low resolution. Maybe I can find a better one. Nope, but okay. What degree I hold in art? Oh, I finished a bachelor's degree in Poland at a university that's called the Polish Japanese University. I think of Computer Science. I think it's the English name. They changed the name recently, and it's a university that's more or less uh, specialized in like computer science, so like programming and doing web stuff and things, but it had also a course in computer graphics, which was not the thing that I wanted because it was mostly like programming codecs to or compression engines in so you can compress photos efficiently and stuff like that. So that was not exactly the thing I was looking for. But they also had some classes in like basic design and basic drawing. But I think I mostly at that point learned by myself. And when I came to Japan, I started to study comics, so manga and animations, so anime, as a research student. And then I went to masters and I did my project for the master's course, and it was a short animation. So most of the like really skill things I learned, I think, mostly by myself. So I don't have like a degree in fine art or anything like this. That's why I'm not really good at sketching and with only a pencil. Okay, so we have a sign that's like this, and it's attached to actually a kind of a balcony thing. Which is vertical, and the sign is a little bit off as usual. And it's on two legs as they usually are, but I'm kind of interested in this bar here which connects it to the balcony from the back. And here are the roof tiles, just really roughly. Something like this, and it of course has letters and stuff, and there is a water, how do you call it, pipe? No, and there's a foldable roof with these nice wavy things and a pipe that holds it. So we have something like this, and there are two bars here. And the rest of the building is like here. So something like this. Okay, this is an interesting simple one with this part here supporting the roof, and the roof being like really simple, but at the same time this part here is metal and gray. So either it's painted or coated in something so it doesn't get oxidized. And I like how simple it is, but it's not like one of the traditional designs that you can see in places it's probably more modern, and this shop was probably repurposed for something. So I guess this is a more modern way of doing it. I like the old ones, which are more complicated and the legs are more rounded, but this is also nice. Okay, let's look for something more. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so there's another lantern. Let's try to make it. Are you interested in directing some more animation works? Yes. I would like to direct some animation works that would be like a short animation, like 20 minutes, or something more longer. But as you know, the animation market is really tight right now, especially in Japan. So most of the animation studios stick to things that are kind of more or less sure to make profit. So you get a lot of franchise things and a lot of things that the stuff is this stuff includes really famous people, like famous designers or famous people famous on the internet also lately. So it's hard to kind of get inside and push for your own ideas. And on the other hand, if there's animation to be done and it's not an original thing, so they would they would say to me, okay, do this or do that, and direct this or like this commercial or whatever. I'm kind of less compelled to do that, because one of the reasons why I quit the animation studio in the first place was to make my own art. So if I'm again have to go into an animation studio and spend, for example, half a year there doing like things that someone has the control and not me, it's kind of defeating the purpose of becoming a freelancer. So yeah, I would like to do my own things. Maybe someday I will, but it looks like probably maybe not in Japan, or maybe if something really changes up in the Japanese animation industry, which actually maybe it will, because of the Netflix and streaming services and all kinds of stuff coming on recently. So maybe it will change. This one is actually really nice shop. I don't know where it is because I just found it on Pinterest. So I would really like to see it actually but it has this kind of lantern, and it's attached with these two metal bars to like a veranda, and it is on top of this tiled roof, probably a little in front of the shop. And there's another one from another perspective, so I'll do this also. So we have these tiles here, and yeah, let's actually fix this part. I don't like sketching with my finger. I tried to do a lot of pens and stuff when I had like one of the first iPads where you didn't have the Apple Pencil yet, and I was really disappointed about the quality. If I'm going to sketch like that, I can just sketch in my sketchbook. So I gave it up, but the Apple Pencil is actually really nice compared to even things like the Wacom tablet, for example. So I'm really happy about the quality of it, and I use it to do sketches in Procreate almost all the time. Most of the sketches I do for my works now are if I do it digitally, I most often do it in Procreate. Also because I can do it just anywhere. And I'm happy with the iPad, and because I have the iPad, I don't use the Pocket version of Procreate because I don't think there's like meaning to this actually. So this balcony veranda thing has really complicated design, but mostly I'm concerned here about the lantern. And it's held on the roof with two metal struts that go like here and are attached here in the back. It's put like a shadow, so it's more kind of easy to understand. Okay, so here we have metal. I think you spell it strut. Help me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I have some really basic watercolor stuff on my Gumroad, and when I finish making my Tokyo Storefronts Tokyo at Night book, I'll probably make more of these. I want to make more of these, so when I make them, I'll just upload them to my Gumroad. But my the first thing that I want to do after I finish my book is probably setting up a new store with some prints and merchandise, so you can buy again things, because Ticktail went out, was bought by Shopify, and I had to shut down my store because I don't like Shopify so much. So I would like to set up a store with things that you could buy actually, and this time I'll do probably more things than just prints, but because I would like to do some like signed books, for example, or other things that you could buy that wouldn't be so expensive. So I would like to do this also. Okay, so I have the same lantern here, but from a bit different angle. There's one more in this photo from a different angle, and let's try to draw it also so we can understand a bit better how it actually is attached to the wall and to the building. What do you think? Would you like to have a t-shirt or like a pin badge or a sketchbook, or for example, I don't know, I'm still kind of thinking about it, some kind of gadgets that you could buy and support this YouTube endeavor, and also like signed books and stuff. Okay, so this lamp is kind of has this kind of interesting base of four like beams, and then it's attached to the building with this S-shaped thing. It has the name of the shop. I see the first kanji, but I cannot see the second and third one because the picture is too small. And this is actually more like this and like this, so it has like the top and the bottom part. Okay, this is actually nice. I'll probably use it somewhere. I'm using this eraser, which is the Radic RBE 400, and this is one of the things that the Japanese animators use for their drawing every day. So if you are in a Japanese animation studio, you can hear the sound of the electric eraser all the time. Yes, I'm Polish, actually. Bags, yes, bags, pins and stickers, also sketchbooks. This is actually more or less what I was thinking about, so I'm glad you like it. I'm also thinking about maybe t-shirts, and I would like to collaborate with a Japanese company with which makes good paper to do nice sketchbooks that we could actually use in everyday work. Well, this is a nice lantern also. Let's try to, and a nice sign. I would like to have a picture that has a bit more resolution, but I guess we'll have to do with whatever is on Pinterest. I'll show you how it looks. Like this kind of. And I like the double legs here, which is like this one here and this one on top. So, and the golden roof. Let's try to sketch it and see how it looks. Postcards, yeah. Okay, so I cannot see this from side, so I don't know how it looks from the side, but it probably is kind of like this. So it's a long sign, and can you see it? Oh, okay. And it has these legs that actually don't go in this time, but are like more like blocks on which this sign just stands. And then there are these ones on this perspective again, which go like 1 and 2 here, and they have like a space here. No. So something like this, and these blocks have the metal endings again, made of copper. As you can, yeah, you asked about the architecture. I like painting Japanese and drawing Japanese stuff because you don't get so much like fancy wooden buildings in Europe, at least not in Poland. You can get some like from brick or stone, but you don't get a fancy, really well, interesting designed wooden building. You can get some churches that are really nice, like wooden churches, but most of the like shops and stuff like that was made from stone or brick, and so this is interesting. But also I like Japanese buildings because most of the time they are made of like these standard components that if you learn how they work and how they work together and what is their kind of standardized size, you can make your own stuff up really easily that is not looking weird. And I could draw a shop that looks like it's from Germany or whatever, but in Japan there's just so much like traditional elements that you can mix and match to make something interesting, which is awesome. But I also like European architecture from like between the war period, so like 1920s. I like English architecture, like really old things, like really old like small streets and narrow streets. I went to Scotland a few years back and really liked like grey stone buildings and would like to draw some of them in my future projects. Okay, so this one is like this, and it has like, if we look at the roof is not on fire, but kind of at this angle, and something like this. This is not perfect in perspective, but whatever. I'm just kind of trying to memorize and sketch more or less the idea than just be perfect about this. Okay, so yeah, it's this one. I have it on my website. If you look for in the frequently asked section, questions section, like tools section on my website, it's listed there also. So just have a look there, and most of my tools are listed there, and I'll be listing the stuff that I bought recently also soon. So okay, this part is gold, and there are letters here that are really fancy, like this kind of letters, and letters here, and a sign, and like a letter here and letter here, and these also are gold letters, and here the caps are copper cups. Okay, I like this sketch. This is actually nice. And there's a lantern here also. I would like to just put into the, yeah, it's the Sakura crepas, I guess. They make like 3 different types of the same like shape, and they have the same tips that you can replace, but they differ in the power of the electric motor inside. So if you want to have a really strong one that can erase like on watercolor paper and whatever, and it has a lot of power, so it doesn't go like when you just touch it to the paper too heavy, then go for the 400 one. It's a bit expensive. I think it's like, how much, like $40, like 4,000 yen, I think, but I'm not sure. I bought it a few years ago, but you use it all the time, so it's a nice tool for this price. I wish it was metal. I will write up more about this, but recently I tried to buy like drawing and writing tools that are metal, so I can use them for long time. So for example, this pencil that I'm using here is all metal. And it's a part of my current like everyday tools, so tools that I have with me all the time. So this lantern has this kind of inside thing with the letters written here, and it goes like this, and then it has this kind of fake legs here, and a really long thing here, which probably just connects it to the building from the back. And is attached to the roof in the point where the roof tiles begin. So more or less like this, which is actually interesting because I don't know where this part goes. Probably it has like a block behind it. So something like this, and this is all copper. Not all animation studios in Japan pay bad. Some of them pay only okay, but there are a lot of studios that pay bad. It's a bit of standard that an animation studio pays only, like from what I read recently, the pay for like animation, if you are a really good animator, you can do like 3-4 cuts a month, but even doing 3-4 cuts a month is too low to pay for your rent, for example. So yeah. Okay, let's see if we can find something more, and just leave it here while I look for something interesting. Oh, this is nice. Okay, so there's a shop that Kana-chan 質問。Like この看板のこっちのところはなんか入り口とか人間のどっちだっけ？
入るだね。
こうだね。
入る。
ね。イン。
うん。
Okay.
たくさんお客さん入りますようにだね。
Okay, so let's do one more. This is kind of interesting because I saw it in many places, and I didn't notice it for some time until someone just pointed it out to me when we were like doing a location hunting or whatever. The roof on this sign, so this part here that protects it from the rain, it forms this kind of pattern here, and I was wondering why this pattern is not like perfect, so why does not end it like this but like this. And this is because this pattern is similar to the Japanese kanji for entrance, So it is set like for a sign roof, so more customers go in this to this shop. So it's like a lucky sign kind of thing. And it's supported on these kind of fancy legs, and it also has like this beams supporting it again, so something like this. I'm drawing this from just random photos that I look up on Pinterest, because I want to see some interesting Japanese shop signs, so I can sketch them and put them to my memory and remember them for my next time when I need to add something interesting to a shop that I make up, yeah, a shop that I just do from imagination. Yeah, so that's why the designs have like this kind of part here. Okay, so I have this one, and this shop also has this one here, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how it's attached to the building, but it's really interesting in shape. So let's try to draw it in perspective, so I can kind of cheat a bit and infer what's behind it. Okay, so we have this part here and part like this. So it's two legs, like round ones, crossed. And again here. And it ends like this. And it has a metal kind of thing attached to it, so it's probably to guard it from the rain a bit. And it has a crack here, and it's kind of charred from the bottom. I think this is like a old sign that was part of an old building that burned down, but the sign was kind of rescued a bit, bits of the sign. So it was originally kind of square probably, but the wood broke from the heat of the fire, and now it's used like this. And you can see this in many old Japanese shops where the wooden sign just is really almost unlegible and you cannot read it, but it is probably the original sign from the original store from like 300 or 400 years before or something, and is used on the storefront, but it's already so destroyed that you have like a large sign that actually says what the shop is. So this is actually like this kind of pattern of beams that go like this, and it's kind of interesting. So the roof goes like here, and I'm guessing there is like a thing that holds the thing to the balcony that's about here. And there's the name of the shop, like really hard to read. Na zdrowie. Okay. And this is all wooden, so it has the wood texture like this. Okay, so this one is interesting. Yes, I can speak Japanese. Witam serdecznie wszystkich z Polski. To 日本語でも日本の方もようこそかなWhat is my favorite art in manga? It changes a lot because I liked a lot of manga actually. For example, I like the Yotsuba End series, especially the newest volumes, because it has nice characters and nice backgrounds, really nice backgrounds. But I liked the Blame and Biomega series, which is like this post-apocalyptic kind of style, which the characters are just interesting, but the backgrounds are just like outstanding. But recently, for example, we have started reading a nice series of comics, which is called 漫画は何？北西だっけ？漫画は北西だっけ？南北西だっけ？ Which is set in like I think Finland or just part of it, but it has really nice style of drawing, and I really recommend this one. It's by Irie Aki-san, and it's called なんていうの？
北北西に雲と雪。
そう。And it has this really amazing style of drawing. I recommend this manga. I don't know if there's English one, but I've been reading it really slowly in Japanese. Okay, I found a nice sign here. Okay, so let's go from the signs that I already did. Like, zoom out a bit. Okay, so here's the first one. Here's like this vertical one, and there are like a lantern. So we have a sign that's like this one with a roof with a copper thing, a more modern sign. A sign like this with a roof, kind of lantern that you can probably fold. This kind of sign, which is probably a more modern version, because it's just square, and even the legs are square, which is a more modern thing, I think. A lantern, the same lantern from other side. Simple one like this with double legs, one more lantern, and here a vertical sign, and a sign made of probably a different sign, a sign that was burnt at some point. So okay, zoom in, and let's make another one. I found a nice one here, which is this type of roundish one, and it also has square legs, which is interesting because the legs are kind of at an angle, so they go like here, but they're like this. the author of the manga is Irie Aki, so it's this is an R Aki. If you search on the internet, you will find probably all the mangas, and we already read one different one also. Okay, so this one has this round shape again, but this time the round part is made of metal, which is interesting. Metal frame, and I think it's thicker, but I cannot see it on this photo, so I'll just assume that it's kind of thicker, and it has this shadow here. Multicultural marriage, huh? I'm glad that you specified what you meant. It is hard in a way because you know, when you are raised in a similar culture, you have watched the same movies, you have listened to similar music, you have similar tastes in stuff, you understand jokes without any explanation, and also the language barrier is not there, so there's less things that can just go wrong, you know. But I think that we were lucky with Kana, because even though we were raised in a completely different environments, we have similar values that we care for and similar things that we like. So even though there are sometimes moments when we just don't understand each other and we have to explain, and using a foreign language to speak to your spouse is all the time is a bit tiring at some points, especially that when you are used to being just able to say what you mean in few words in your own language. Yeah, but these are the points that are most difficult, I think. So if you are a person like me, used to talking a lot and just having everyone understand what I'm more or less speaking in Polish, it was hard to actually speak all the time in Japanese every day. So this one has two lamps in front with these black parts here ribbed, so I think it's like a radiator for radiating out heat from the bulbs. And it has some letters here and huge letters in gold here, which I'll just sketch more or less. Just like this. And gold letters. But now I'm so used to using like 3 languages, one to communicate with you, for example, and to making my memos and to read and write stuff, because most of the things I read on the internet and books I read in English, and I also write my book in English. I of course have it checked by someone who is better than me in using this language. But nonetheless, I have to write like 160 pages of explanations and stuff in English. But at the same time, I speak in Polish to my parents, for example, and I speak in Japanese to Kana all the time. So sometimes it can get confusing, and sometimes you can just be kind of irritated that the other person does not know things that are kind of obvious to me, for example, but I try to fight with this impulse. Yeah, so as VV said, is it like if you want to just say something really quickly and There are some words that you don't know. For example, like explaining sometimes the simplest things is really a frustrating game. Uh, but yeah. But it also is a nice thing because if you are like me, just not really good at Japanese and you don't know everything, there's a lot of things that you can discuss, and there's a lot of things that you can just learn um, with glee, discover with glee some things that are obvious for Kana, for example, but I discovered them and I'm like, yes, I now know why this station, for example, is called like this and not like something different. Okay, so we have a one like this one, which is actually round here, so something like this. Okay. Um, we didn't have much choice because Kana only speaks Japanese. So she speaks a bit English, but for everyday like communication, we use only Japanese. But it's kind of cute because when she first met me, she didn't know if I can speak Japanese or not. So she had like a sketchbook ready to sketch things if I cannot understand them in Japanese. Okay, so a next one. And this one is kind of interesting because it has this really nicely curved roof thing. How we end up dating is a story that I won't disclose here because it's kind of nice and interesting. So maybe we will make a manga or whatever about this in the future. So we have a copyright on this story. And this one is okay, so Kana is actually working on her new illustration right now, like on her iPad, and she is making a new illustration from the Japanese witch series. And she actually had like this building here with this sign that we didn't know how it should look like. So this is why I'm kind of researching these signs in the first place. Arigato. So you should be able to see the finished illustration in some time on Kana's like social media and a movie on her YouTube channel, so be sure to follow. So this one is wooden also, and if I draw wood like this, I like to kind of insert this small cracks things. I want to make a manga maybe sometime, or like a animation or whatever, using this story because it was kind of interesting. Probably, of course, I will use it with different characters, but okay, so this is like this, and it has like small blocks here. I don't know why, but it's like spacers that space this bar here from the building, and I'm guessing that there's like a bar here in the back that connects it to the wall, and there's the roof like this, and of course it goes like that, and it's not very long, it ends just like here. There are 3 letters here, like I'll just and 2 big letters here. And there are gold letters on dark background. Nice. Okay. Have you ever used 3D software? Yes. Actually, in animation studios, when we have some difficult things to do, and for example, we don't have any reference photos or sketches or whatever, and we have to do something which has really difficult perspective, we sometimes use 3D software to make a really rough model of just a building, so we can see how it looks in this perspective. But mostly it's work for the animators, the key animators that actually do the how do you call it, keyframes and layouts for each cut. So a background artist rarely has to make something from scratch, and it's really rare to get like this kind of empty space that you have to fill in with your kind of ideas. Okay, this is interesting. This is again a vertical one. I'll show you the photo. Okay, let's make it smaller. I cannot make it smaller. So let's sketch it and add it to our collection. And for this kind of really rough 3D, we use really simple software like something Google did, like the Google SketchUp. I don't know if this app is still like available. But it's mostly just making blocks and putting them together into something that resembles a building, and then drawing on top of it. But I'll drink some water. Personally, I don't like this kind of approach because it kind of makes your lens really stiff, because you're always drawing with the same lens from the 3D software. In some 3D software you can change the lens, but most of the times I prefer to do sketches just by hand. I would probably draw characters in my manga as real people, because that's what I did in Yuragi, and that's what I kind of like. I have the dog character mostly because Hayao Miyazaki has his kind of pig avatar that he uses to represent himself in the comics and stuff that he draws. So I also wanted to have like a character that I can use to represent myself, mostly because I really suck at drawing characters that look similar to real people. So if I have to make a like a sketch of a real person, it never looks like the person. So mostly when I draw characters, it's okay because they are like made up characters, but if I have to, for example, do a likeness of myself or of Kana or whatever, or whoever, it is really difficult for me, so I tend to avoid it. So that's why I make the dog character, because no one can say okay, it's not really similar to you, you know. And I kind of have the freedom of doing whatever I want with this character. But for a comic, I'll probably do just regular human characters like I did in Yuragi in my previous comic. So yeah. So this is a wooden base. We recently went to an exhibition of the Yotsubato manga, and we saw some of the original drawings for that, the original pages, which was awesome. Yo. Okay, so this one is connected to the building by a metal strut that goes from... It's kind of low on my sketchbook, so it's hard to show. So we have the roof here, and there's a metal strut that goes from here, but also probably there's a like a pole in the back, like here, that goes probably in the roof. So metal, here, and there's like the sign that says something here, and there's small letters here, and there is one row of letters in the front. And probably there would be a shadow here, but I don't see it here, so whatever. Yay! This one is nice actually. He used, I think, really the standardest of standardest manga pages, like the ones that you can just buy from the shop. I think it was like this kind of paper, which is the B4 size, but the page itself is like from here to here, so it's a bit smaller than the whole page. If you look just for the standard comic book Japanese manga page thingies, that the paper that you can find in like specialist stores, he was just using a really standard one from, I think, IC, the company that makes the tones also. And we were actually surprised because most professional mangakas that we saw with kana, like in Japanese, how they call it, documentary movies or something, they were using their own like papers, but he was using, he was called Azuma, Kyohiko. Azuma was using just the standard manga sheets, B4 size. Oh, this is nice. Okay. So we have another vertical sign here. This one is really simple actually. Can you see it? Okay. I think it was B4. It was it was similar in size, that it was the same in size that the one I showed you right now. So I think it was the bigger one. The lines that there were in the pictures were so thin, like hair width thin. We think with Kana that he does most of the background lines with the maru pen, which gives you, it's the nib that gives the most thin lines, and it was so thin. But just have a look at the Yotsuba manga online if you don't know what I'm talking about. The backgrounds in this manga are outstanding, and if you like my work, if you like the Japanese buildings that I do, and like the everyday street kind of feel of my works, you will like this comic. It's kind of popular, so you can get a lot of editions in a lot of languages, and there's even a Polish language version of the comic, which I was a bit surprised. Okay, so we have a sign like this with 2 feet. And it's on a roof that is like this. So again, it's a bit at an angle to the street below, so you can actually see the letters better. And from what I can see, the roof ends about here, and there are 2 supports that support it, like here, one, and a bar that goes probably somewhere like here in the middle, like about here. And this is all wooden from what I can see. Let's draw some texture on it. Wow, zoom. And there are like a logo here, like a logo, and some letters, Yamato, and some letters here also. Okay, so like this. Let's see if we can find something more. I really like Pinterest because of the function that you can just scroll and similar pictures will come at you, but often they just become the same pictures over and over again. So there's a limit to what you can find here. I should look more in my own files, but I just wanted to do this kind of quickly and see if I can find something interesting that I did not just manage to photograph during my kind of location hunting sessions and stuff. So we end up on Pinterest. Okay. Let's go back a bit. Can we go back here? Oh yeah, we can actually. There's a nice one. Haven't seen anything like this before. Okay. So we have the roof here, and it's actually ended like with a wooden just board, which is in itself kind of unusual. And we have this kind of shaped part which goes like into here, and one more, and there's one more about here, and there's a round sign About this size and this thick. And it's held up with a kind of pin here. And it has some letters like, and a logo that looks like this. And here are the beam of the building, and some windows start from here. So it's actually under the roof, which is here. This is cute. This is a new thing, I think, but I haven't seen anything like this. So you have the store window here. Życzę powodzenia na maturze. Ja nie mogłem, szczerze powiedziawszy, znaleźć jakiegoś miejsca dla siebie na polskim żadnym uniwersytecie państwowym, ze względu na to, że chciałem rysować na komputerze, co nie było za bardzo popularne, więc poszedłem na prywatny uniwersytet, za co jestem wdzięczny rodzicom. Więc nie musiałem się specjalnie martwić na maturze, żeby tam dostać dużo punktów. Na zdrowie. Ale no, starałem się dostać jak najwięcej w razie czego. Ale z polskiego też nie byłem specjalnie orłem, bo bardziej byłem w stronie takiej matematyczno-fizycznej, informatycznej, więc moje wyniki z matury na pewno miały trochę znaczenia, bo pozwoliły mi pójść na prywatny uniwersytet i w wyniku czego potem dostałem stypendium też do Japonii. Okay, so Stanisław Tyczka was asking about my exams that I had in Poland and what exams did I took to get to the university in Poland. But in Poland I could not find a university that had the thing that I wanted to do, so like drawing and painting on the computer, using the computer. So I was just from the beginning I just went to a private university because I could. Thank you my family that they paid for it. I'm still grateful because I could learn some like drawing and painting on the computer, and what's more, I could meet some people that also wanted to draw and paint on the computer, which was almost as important, I think. And because of that I was kind of introduced to the Japanese culture of manga and animation, and I could then go to Japan because I got a scholarship from the Japanese how do you call it? MEXT, so the Japanese Education Ministry of Education and Sports, I think it's called. Okay, can we find another interesting kanban in the internet? Let's try to Google it. Maybe Sensei Google will answer. Okay. Okay, either way, my battery in my camera, the second one, is running low, so I think maybe we will stop right now. So I'll show you, review with you the things that I did so far. So this is the first one, and this is like a small cute lantern thing. Here's the second one that's like vertical, and this one has this figures that support it instead of just legs. It has legs and the bar and legs, which is like really nice. And here's the second horizontal one with legs and the bar and the frame. There's like a more modern one. Here's one with the roof and the legs, and here's like a collapsible one in form of a lantern. Here's a more modern one, more lanterns like this, and one with legs and a lantern. Vertical one that has like 2 rows of letters, I think. So there's like letters here and smaller letters here, so the name of the shop probably and something about it. There's one that's made of half burned remains of an old sign, one with lights and interesting like border that is metal and round. Here's one that is really simple, and I like that the support for the roof is like metal, small metal pegs only. Here's a vertical one, again probably backlit from the inside, and vertical one that's not backlit, and one that's nice and round. Let's see. This one is similar. I try to find something. I'm trying to find something that's interesting and not only a copy of thing that we already sketched. I have if you want, you can follow me also on Pinterest, where I have a lot stuff actually saved. It's just some materials from Pinterest that I save just for future reference. I think that maybe that's more or less it. Let me check if I have anything more. Japan. Okay, I think that's it. We'll finish on this one, and I'll probably do more streams like this. I want to test this sketchbook that I got from the nice people at Midori Company, that wanted to me to test the cotton paper in these sketchbooks, and I think it works really well with pencils, and actually better than I expected. And today we were drawing with this Caran 844 mechanical pencil. This is 0.7 thickness and I think 2B leads inside. I'll do more detailed video about this pencil and some other tools that I bought recently soon. So stay tuned for this. Also stay tuned for Kana's illustration that she'll be doing, because this is why in the beginning I tried to do some research about these shop signs in Japan. Okay, thank you for joining me. This was a really long stream. I think we went for like 3 hours or 2 hours or something like that. 2 hours, yeah. So I'll be doing more things like this when I gather more materials and references that I want to sketch and kind of memorize. Okay, see you in the next one. I'm really happy that you came, and I'll see you in the next stream.